now. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and berries, here it is. Magic Brad, the man, the myth, the legend in my own mind. And guess what we're talking about today? We're talking about sales. My favorite, just kidding. I don't like sales. And maybe our guest today can change my mind. The reason I don't like sales is because oftentimes I see a product or service that is a good deal. And I'm thinking, you got the money, why don't you just buy it? And if they don't, I get frustrated. So that's my big challenge with getting over the sales thing. Some people think it's just a numbers game. You got to get as many no's as you possibly can because eventually there's a diamond in the rough. And I know about sales, the psychology of sales, and there's sometimes that neuro-linguistic thing that timeshare sales people pull on people. But let's find out from the man himself. Bring him on, my friend. David Kirkeby, where are you? Hi, David.
Hello, how you doing?
I am well. How the hell are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, but I'm getting better.
I haven't seen you since yesterday.
Zig Ziglar comment. Yeah, it's been a while.
What was that? What did Zig Ziglar used to say?
Well, he says, ask him how he's doing. He says, outstanding, but I'm getting better.
There you go. Good altitude. And you got to have that with the sales process. I think it was Jim Rohn or Brian Tracy used to talk about you got to you go for the no, and eventually you hit the yes.
Yeah, I don't go for the no.
I don't either. That's kind of a weird mindset, looking for what you don't want.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm doing it.
And I love that you mentioned your attitude about sales. I hear that a lot, and I think it goes back to the old used car salesperson or whatever. You know, they're trying to sell you something you don't want or need. Make a lot of assumptions. Sell. You know, my saying is, let's stop selling and start helping people.
Well, with me, you know, the sales I've done over the past is exhibit booth sales. And a lot of people say, I don't like exhibiting in those shows. I never get anything out of it. Well, that isn't because of the price of the show, because somebody's getting something out of it, because people are doing trade shows. And the reason they're not getting stuff out of it is because they don't know how to work the booth to get the lead. And that's just the marketing of it, the lead generation. Once you get the lead, now you got to turn it over to your type people that close the sale. And
right. Well, we don't close until we find out if we can help people or not. And we do that by asking questions and listening.
Right.
So, you know, the number one skill that salespeople need is learning how to listen.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times they're they're thinking of what that person's saying so they can think of what they can say to react to what they're thinking.
Exactly. What am I going to say next? What am I going to ask next? Instead of listening and asking a follow-up question, we do a workshop called The Question for Every Answer. And that's because we're listening to their answers. And then if we feel it's important to them, we want to find out why it's important to them and help them to understand why it's important to them. And anything that we don't sell until we flush out everything and find out the benefits that they might be interested in, the problems we can help them solve. You know, if we can really help people, we have an obligation to do so.
Well, there's a story that my friend Ron Eccles used to tell, because he did trade show sales training, and he talked about at a trade show there was a company that sold phones. They had all the newest technology phones all laid out there, and they had call waiting and caller ID and music on hold and all these different things. And the guy was walking through looking at all the phones. He goes, I want that one. And the guy looks at it and goes, that's just basic. There's no features on it. Why do you want that? And he says, well, I'm in the construction business. All my people, the guys have big hands, big fingers. I need big buttons.
There you go.
That's what he wanted, is big buttons. He didn't want all these fancy things.
So listen, right?
Yeah.
You could ask, why do you want that phone? And he'll tell you, because I want big buttons. Why do you want big buttons? Well, because my people have big fingers, big hands. I got it. Okay. We have another model that has the big buttons as well, maybe have additional benefits that you haven't thought about. Would you like to have a conversation about that?
Yeah, that other guy probably just thought, these are great phones. I'm going to tell them all about these really cool automated. And the guy
I was in telecommunications for a few years out on the West Coast, and I was in a demo with the salesperson. And we had a chart with all the features of the phone system, the telecom system. And the guy was demonstrating the system, and he went through the flip chart and he was checking off every feature. And there was probably 30 features on the list. And he got to the end, and he was presenting to the president of a mortgage company, and his CFO, his finance guy, was sitting next to him. And he turned to his finance guy and he said, "Well, what do you think?" And the finance guy said, "We don't need half the stuff that this system offers, so it's way too expensive." So if he would have listened and found out what they wanted and problems he could solve and benefits that would help them, then he could demonstrate those specific features, and the value would increase and the price would be worth it.
That reminds me of like my car. I was in my car and my wife was going, "Turn on the heat by my feet. I'm not getting any heat." And I thought, what the hell's going on here? Because it was cool. And my side was warm. Her side was cold. I couldn't figure out why that was. I thought maybe there was a flap or something in the duct work, or maybe the heater core is going out or something. But my car had a feature that I didn't even know about. I didn't buy that feature because I didn't even know about it.
I had a Cadillac for a while, and I probably had it for 2 or 3 months before I discovered it had heated seats.
That's kind of what I mean. You didn't buy it because of that. I mean, that's a perk to find out. But I can see where a person would look at, okay, it's got all these features. I'm not going to use half of them. I think you should give it to me for half the price. Exactly.
Yeah, they don't see the value. And the value is always, if they see it's going to help them in some way, then it's more valuable to them. If not, it's just too expensive. Yeah, so people are out selling on price. They've considered an easy way to sell. If I can save you some money, then we have a deal. Problem is they lose those customers down the road because somebody else comes in and saves them more money and they're gone.
Is it the commonality?
Very much so. Yeah. It's one of the first things we try to get people away from. Start selling, stop selling and start listening and figure out what people really want. If your solution is not the best, you got to be willing to walk away, maybe recommend something else. Well, if they can feel that you're not there to try to manipulate them and sell them something, that you're asking them if you can help them in some way, let's together figure out how that might be. I hear you, and this is what we can do. This is what you want. You told me you wanted this. This is how we'll do it. You told me you wanted that. This is how we'll do it. How does that sound? That's the great closing question. Instead of, it's what do you think? Should we go ahead?
Yeah, I heard somewhere that you shouldn't ask them, what do you think? Because they got so much going on in their head. If they were honest and open it up, you don't want to hear what they're thinking.
Oh, I definitely want to hear what they're thinking. Absolutely. Flush it out. If all this objection handling and closing like a mad dog and, don't take no for an answer, that's ridiculous. I have had people call me every once in a while and they'll say, you got to call this company. Why? Because the salesperson was just in my office and he would not leave. He would not take no for an answer. I was not interested and he wasn't hearing it. Well, that's why sales has a bad reputation in a lot of respects. So part of my mission statement is, go ahead. Sorry.
I was saying the car salesmen and the timeshare salesmen, they got a bad reputation because of the methods that they're using.
Right. Withholding information and the higher authority close. Well, let's check with my manager. Well, they already know the answer, but they're doing all this silly stuff. Manipulation.
Especially nowadays, since the internet's in place, people have watched sales training that are teaching that kind of stuff, and they go, "Aha! That's why you got to see the manager."
Right. Yeah, I ask a lot of my prospects before we start doing business. Are your people going through sales training? And oh yeah, they're going through sales training. Well, would you describe that to me? What kind of training have they received? Inevitably, it's product training. It's not really sales training. How do you build relationships? How do you ask questions so that people will disclose what's important to them? And then you can find out if there's a matchup for your solution.
Yeah. Do you agree that that sales is more psychology?
Yes, for sure. In fact, we talk about there's 4 factors that prospects weigh when they're making a buying decision. And that one is the salesperson that they're dealing with to get the deal done. The second is the company that salesperson represents. The third is the service or the product that they're selling. And the fourth is the price or the investment. And I rank them that way because that's really how they are in order of importance. The most important thing is the relationship that prospect has with the salesperson and vice versa. If they like you and trust you, as you hear many times, they want to do business with you versus somebody else. Right. So if they can, buying decisions are made based on emotion and they're justified with facts and logic. And depending upon personality types, there's more emotion involved than some other personality types. So if we have that connection with them and they feel, there's also a study that we share that indicates if someone feels heard and understood, they're 4 times as likely to say yes. 4 times as likely if they feel heard and understood. Most salespeople don't listen because they're trying to sell, and they're thinking, like you said earlier, they're thinking about what am I going to say next? What question am I? They come in prepared with a questionnaire. They got to ask all these questions. Well, maybe not. Let's ask follow-up questions based on what they're sharing with us. Gee, that sounds like it's important to you. Can I ask you why? Now we find out the important stuff. Why is that an issue for your prospect? And if I can do something about it, I'll share how, not then, but I'll flush out until they're done sharing information with me. A lot of times we present too soon as well. We make an assumption, jump to a conclusion. Hot button. I found something important. Well, this is how we do this at my company. Sell. Now the prospect shuts down completely.
Yeah, this is refreshing to hear this coming from an older gentleman that's been through the trenches.
Yeah.
Because there are those methods, the whole fear of missing out thing and creating the excitement and the emotion behind it, and then the assumptive close. And do you want to put that on a credit card? Do you want to pay cash? All that stuff. And people don't like, they end up having buyer's remorse going, you know what? This isn't what I wanted, but I bought the damn thing.
Exactly.
It's not what I wanted.
Yep. Try to get referrals from that guy.
Yeah, I'll give you a referral. Well, that's really, it's an interesting thing. I've had situations where I've gone in to look, because technology these days, if you ever gone to a Best Buy, I have no idea what I'm buying in there. So when I go in there, the guy's not asking the right questions because I don't know the right questions to answer. I don't know the right questions to ask. I don't know what I want. I'm just totally confused.
They should know what to ask you. What are you looking for and why? Well, what do you want it to do? You don't have to describe the features because you don't know. But what do you want it to do for you? In your layman's terms, describe it to me. What do you have now? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? What would you improve if you got something new? And then I'll figure out if I have something that I can share with you that fits what you're telling me.
And they have to reply with language that I understand instead of telling me you need an XLR jack. I don't know what the hell an XLR jack is. That's the one with the 3. Right. Oh yeah, I know that thing. The plug.
Yeah, that's it. That's inside ball. That's industry buzzwords. We try to stay away from those. We know in our own company what it means, but so what? The people we're talking to don't understand.
Okay, I get that. Even on the education level, because you're a trainer, you're teaching people. You need to use language that they understand. I go to the Minnesota Real Estate Investors Association. They meet at near my place over here, and I go that. And they're talking all this language that me as a new person involved with this, I have no idea what they're talking about. So I just might as well just not even be there because I don't understand what they're saying.
Exactly.
Give me the language.
And you mentioned training. I'm more of a sales coach. Training is part of coaching. And what a coach will do, they will motivate, monitor, and train. So the monitoring is holding people accountable for doing what they want to do to achieve their goals. And training is individualized. A lot of people are doing group coaching these days. It's very difficult to do. We do a lot more one-on-one coaching because everybody has different issues. Some people have 20 years experience and they're making 6 figures or more. Some people are brand new, and we have to find out what their needs are, again, by asking them questions on what's going on, what's working, what's not working, and so forth. And then once they set a goal, we help them create a plan that they believe will get them to their goal. And then all we have to do on a weekly basis, or however often usually it's weekly, is to hold them accountable for what they told us they wanted to do to achieve that goal. And then we can tweak it on a weekly or monthly basis, depending upon actual results. What is actually happening? Are we a little bit behind? What do we need to do to catch up? Are we way ahead? Well, let's shorten the time frame on achieving the goal or increase the goal. Otherwise, you get what's called the plateau effect, and they're in cruise control. Right. The kind of fat, dumb, and happy, or however you describe it. I've already achieved my goal, so now I don't have to do anything. Well, to be motivated, I have to be going after something I want. And the more important thing is, why do they want that goal? Back to the why. The why is the most important thing. Somebody says, I want a new car. Okay, what type of car do you want? Why do you want it? How soon do you want it? Let's create a plan where you can achieve that you believe will get you there. If we just take these steps incrementally, you will be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hold them accountable on a regular basis for doing what they told us they wanted to do. Right?
It's kind of like algebra.
How so?
You put what you want in place, the goal, and you put the things in place to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. We write out actually an annual sales plan to begin with, and monthly. What do we need to do each month to get to that goal at the end of the year, or whatever the time frame is? I have somebody right now that is building up a residual income, and they have a goal to achieve a certain level of residual income. Well, we figured out how many months that's going to take to get there. So, we're building up that residual every week, every month, and staying on track. So she knows exactly when that's going to happen.
Okay, so there's the difference between pretty much a coach and a trainer, whereas a trainer can just use the clicker for the dog and make the dog sit, make the dog roll over, make the dog fetch, whereas you're kind of adjusting the sails as you go forward. And when the wind changes and comes up and goes down and the currents of the ocean, you're kind of adjusting the sails to get to the goal.
Yes. It's dynamic. It's flexible all the time. Nothing is etched in stone. If we're on goal, wonderful. And then we keep reminding them of the why. Is it still important to you? I was coaching somebody when I was living on the West Coast, in San Francisco, and all of a sudden this guy just wasn't doing anything anymore. That commitments he was making on a weekly basis and so forth, they weren't happening. And I just kind of threw everything aside and said, "What's going on?" "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, you're just not motivated. You're not doing what you told me you wanted to do. And you said you wanted that new car." "Oh, my folks bought me that car last month."
Oh,
The
carrot fell off the stick.
There's always a reason, right? So let's find something else that you really want, and we'll create a plan so you can achieve it.
Well, it's fun talking to you about this because I've known you for a long time, and it is a whole refreshing way because of the way that the internet is doing it a lot different. And a lot of it is because these people that are doing these things are using these slimy techniques because, they're on the other side of the country. They don't have to worry about getting their ass kicked.
And they make a lot of assumptions. I get them all the time. I'm sure you do, or they'll do a LinkedIn connection. And the very first thing they do is, I've looked at your website, or I've explored your business, investigated, and they look like a perfect fit for what we have to offer. And here's all the benefits. Sell. They know nothing about me.
Yeah.
People, this is for people that really might consider going into business for themselves. Well, I've been in business for myself for 26 years. Hello. If you check me out just a little bit, you probably know that.
Yeah. And
I guess that's the numbers game you're talking about. And it's awful.
But that pretty much stops the sale right there. It's like,
oh, definitely.
You disrespected me. I didn't want nothing to do with you because there's going to be another one coming along tomorrow.
Yeah, if you want a little help with that, we can have a conversation, but leave me alone.
There you go. Yeah, especially in your place, you could do the turnaround. Go, you know what? You're going about this wrong. But they're not going to listen because they are doing the numbers game. It's just
well, they've been trained that way, unfortunately, by whoever in their company. That's their model, that's their method, and unfortunately, they say you can't argue with success. And to them, that's so many. They're getting the sales they want, I guess, and no matter how many people they bother and bug and turn off, they're winning sometimes. So therefore, their model works.
That's unfortunate. And I'm with my internet-based stuff. I've created a different way. I'm kind of like letting people know who I am. I'm not standing in front of a Ferrari or anything like that. I am the way I am. The way I am.
Right.
It's a different approach. I think the authentic approach, you got longer relationships and things like, how long have we known each other?
Oh,
10
gosh.
10 years, maybe?
More than 10 years. Yeah, at least 10 years. 10, 12.
Time flies.
It sure does.
Speaking of which, we're at 20 minutes here. So if you got any parting words, and I'll close this off, put you in the green room. And by the way, we've got some wonderful digital hors d'oeuvres back there. They're low calorie, so you can eat as many as you want. You won't gain a pound. It's fantastic.
Perfect.
Well, what's your golden nugget on sales?
Well, I think that one of the first things I say to people, and it always kind of catches them by surprise, is let's stop selling. Let's stop selling. Especially if I talk to the president of the company or the VP of sales or whoever, and we're going to teach your people to stop selling. And I just do it as an attention getter. Well, what do you mean by that? How about we start helping people?
Yeah.
And we're looking for people we can help. And that's the reason I want an appointment with somebody. That's the reason I'm reaching out to you, or Miss or Mrs. Prospect, whoever that might be. I'm just trying to find out if we can help you in some way. And if we have a conversation, we can figure that out. If not, I'm gone. So be quiet, ask great questions. You should be talking maybe 10, 15% of the time and asking questions and listening the rest of the time. And based on what they're sharing with you, listen so that you can ask a follow-up question if you think it's important to them.
Makes total sense. Well, Mr. David Kirkeby, you sales pro, I'm going to put you in the green room and then I'm going to sign this off. But if you want to stick around back there, I'll come back and visit. We can chat for some more. But I appreciate you taking the time today, bud.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, he said Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Yes. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy holidays. All that stuff. Woohoo. So that was my friend David Kirkeby, and you can tell he's been around and done this thing. And I'm glad that he's teaching and training and coaching this kind of thing, because it's more personal. I wish that people would try and do more stuff, at least on Zoom or in person. And I think it'll all come back. So there you go. That's what it is. Ask questions, try and solve problems, and don't try and sell. Try and help. People want to be bought. They don't want to be sold. That's the story, Morning Glory. So that's all I got for you now. Peace, love, and happiness. That's what it is. If you want to increase sales, stop selling. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be good, be kind, be nice. Did I say be nice? Be nice. See ya. Bye.